Once you've set up customers and jobs, as well as products and services within Punchit, you are now ready to use the job logging functionality if you want your employees to do so. This little movie will show you kind of a sample of what a typical employee would go through in order to log a job. They're going to be logging into the system to get to their time card. So to do that, they will log in using their employee number as well as their employee password. Once they've reached their time card, you will notice that each time card has 4 different tabs up here at the top. You have time card, which is the default view. You have a detail view. The detail view will show you lunch punches as well as totals for the week. Okay. Your job log is the next one. This is the one we're going to focus on. Is actually where the employee could go to log time against jobs. Now the concept here is pretty simple. When an employee is on the clock, if they are working on work for a customer and you want to capture that time that they are spending working on that job, you can have them open and close a job log. And the way they would do that is they would navigate to their job log tab, click Start Job Log. Okay. The very first thing you might notice here is it says, in order to start new job log entries, you must be on the clock. Click OK to clock in and open a job log entry. It sees that the employee is not on the clock, and it requires that the employee be on the clock based upon the preferences that were set. So the employee would say OK, and it would clock them in, as well as bring up the new job log entry window. Once that entry window is up, you'll notice that it pre-populated the employee name, and the next item is it wants the employee to select a customer. Obviously, they will select whichever customer they're working on. They will then have the ability to select the job for that customer that they're working on. Okay, and I can see that this particular customer has one job working in the system right now, so they can select that. Next, they need to choose the work type. This would be the product or the service that they have chosen to work on. So for instance, we have one in the system called Prod 1, Basic Production Work. So I'm going to choose that. And you have quantity. If you're working on a product and that product has, say, a flat fee associated with it, you could use the quantity to let the system know how many you're doing. If, say, for instance, you're working basic production work and you're working on, say you're in advertising and you're building and you're creating, you're laying out a few pages of an ad or of a circular. You might log, hey, I've got 3 different pages I'm working on simultaneously, and if you did, you could type in 3, and when you start this job log entry, it's essentially for 3 records. It essentially keeps track of 3 pages, so you get to log that time times 3. In most cases, you're going to leave this at 1. You might notice that it auto pre-populated the start time. Okay. The start time, you can then click in there and choose a different time and a different date if you need to enter something for a different date. The employee can also go ahead and fill in the stop time. If they know that they spent an hour on it, they could plug in 4 o'clock here and 5 o'clock here, and voila, they have an hour. In most cases, though, you'll want your employees to leave that populated with whatever time they clicked it, and they hit save. Now, you'll notice that what that did is it created an open job log. Okay, it says there's one open job log. It's basic production work. Started on June 4th at 3:38 p.m. Customers ABC. The job number is ABC0001, and the quantity is 1. They could then go about their business, go on, do other things, and yes, they can open multiple job logs at once. If you are fortunate enough to have employees that are very, very productive, they might be working on multiple jobs at the same time, in which case you're going to want to capture all the different jobs and all the different job logs they're working on. So when the employee is done working on the job log, they would just come back to the screen and hit stop work on this item. When they do, it closes that job log, gives it an out date and time, and gives you a duration of hours associated with that particular job log. It's essentially a start and stop timer for a job. What's nice about it though is it gives you a duration that is directly tied back to this job number and also directly tied back to that particular customer. It's also tied back to the type of work that was performed. And as you might recall from the previous movie, the type of work can, if you so choose, define the bill rate and the cost to you. And so through all this, you've been able to capture a good deal of data just with a simple couple clicks of the mouse by your employee. Now, let me show you what this does for you as the employer. I'm going to go ahead and just open and close another job log. That way I've got a couple of records in the system. Okay, so I'm going to open a new one. Since I only have one customer, I'm going to go ahead and choose that same customer and the same options. Okay, and then I'm going to start it, and then I'm going to stop it. Okay, and there's my job log. Now, when the employee logs out, all that information is saved, and then when you log in as the admin user, you can go then to the job logs tab, and you will see the different job logs that are in the system. Up here at the top, you may see that it says 1/2. That means it's showing 1 out of 2 records total. So we can hit this Show All button, and you see all the records that are in the system. Now, as the admin user, you can click in these fields and type in new values. So you have the power to actually change or edit those punches or those job logs should that employee have made a mistake. Within here, you can also scroll over and you can see whether or not it is marked as billed. Okay, that's important because if you do add in some functionality at some point by using our Invoice It program, then Invoice It will look at that job log entry and see whether or not it's billed and give you the option of putting that on a future invoice. So we also have a few options here. We have Show Open, Show Non-Billed. Well, an example of how you might use that is, let's just say that one of these has been closed, has been billed. Then you can tell the system to show non-billed only. Or you can say Show Open, meaning job log entries that an employee has started but they have not closed. So there are none in the system right now, so I'm going to hit Show All to see everything. You can also export this job log entry data, and that would export out to your computer desktop as a text file, or you could do an Excel format. And you can also print a job logs report from this screen as well. So this is job logs, and you have the same general power over here as you do anywhere else. You can delete a record. If I want to delete that record, I can delete one. If I want to add a record in here, you might notice that I get this same job log entry screen that the employee got, but you'll notice that now there is no employee. And the reason for that is because you're the admin user. So you might be entering a job log entry for one of your employees, but the system doesn't know which one until you tell it. So I'm going to choose Jack. I'm going to say it was for ABC Company, and it was for their 001 job, and it was basic production work. It started on 6/4 at 3:44. It stopped on 6/4 at 5 p.m. And I'm going to say Save, and there's my new entry. Now, if that employee happens to log into the system, they will actually see that in their screen, in their time card, even though you're the one who entered that. And that's because it is tied back to that employee. So that's job logs. That's how you can enter and keep track of job logs. When you get ready, you can do a search and find all the, say I want to find everything for ABC Company. I can click on the search, type in ABC, and find all the records for ABC, and then print a job logs report. Okay. I could also say show me all of ABC that is not billed. And once I hit go, it shows me just the one because the other is billed. So then I could print a job log of that. So I have a lot of power here. I can keep track of all the time that my employees are spending working on my different jobs, and it gives me the ability to kind of go back with some hard data and show my customers where the time was spent and doing what and which resources were dedicated to that. So that is job logs.